Okay, guys. So we're going to talk about this is focused on. This is not an infomercial or a webinar about our technology. This is a webinar about the resources that we have to ensure that people smoothly and time efficiently become confident using the technology. The technology is really simply a distributed manifestation of of our methodology and process. And many of you have had the opportunity to use our AI. Our software is called Clarity. And so, a little turn of phrase, we named our AI companion Claire. Um, Claire is, I keep saying soon to be released. We're um, even closer to being able to release Claire inside the Clarity software. So I'm going to show you the capabilities that are about to be embedded inside the software and that are currently available to subscribers. Okay. And we're going to focus in particular on not simply new people who are just coming to the software. We're also going to focus on ways in which we support those of you who have been using the software for a long time. And we have some terrific AI powered support for you. So, what does that look like? Well, those of you who have used our software has 12 different modules. It analyzes a business's strategic capacity and calculates a value from several different perspectives for that business. I think importantly, um, the calculation of value focuses on market, a market comp. What is this business going to look like in an M&A transaction? Okay, and we are the only business out there, to my knowledge, that is doing that type of analysis. And I'll stop. I'll stop there. Happy to answer any questions offline. The bottom line though is Clarity is very sophisticated, right? And we are always working on ways to increase the ways in which you can deploy Claire, that you can use Claire, and that you can leverage the Clarity, and that you can leverage the analysis that Clarity generates. So the AI that we've created, we have a new companion to Claire. They will both be one and the same when it's inside the software, but we've developed a guide, an onboarding guide, and we're about to go through, look at it in detail. And I want you to imagine having a colleague. You have two colleagues now. You have Claire, who's a colleague who knows. I mean, she has over 500,000 words in her knowledge base. She has well over 300 videos, every article I've ever written, and. But Claire was not specifically trained on how to use, I've run Clarity Level 1, now what? That was not Claire's, and that's not what Claire does. Think of her as a peer. We would needed to create an analyst, someone who's very, very focused on a specific issue. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay. You imagine having a colleague who's available 24/7 and who knows exactly how to help you with explaining the Clarity analysis and with surfacing next steps that you might want to take in a client engagement. And we work with, right, as you guys know, we work with a host of professions. We work with um, CPAs, business advisors, business coaches, investment bankers, right? Fractional CFOs, um, uh, a whole host of people, wealth advisors, exit planners. Think of that as the entire team surrounding a client or a business owner as they're growing their business and potentially preparing it for a successful transaction, whether that transaction is internal or external. Now you can appreciate the complexity of being able to support each of our constituencies, each of you in your specific use of the software. The beautiful thing is AI learns, right? And AI is infinitely trainable. And I think we're doing. I think you're going to like what you see. Okay. So this is deep AI support that can help you for everything from your first conversation, your first discovery conversation with a client, through executing long-term engagements. So what does this look like? Well, I said that Clarity is sophisticated, and I've got there are 12 modules here. Everything from discovery conversations. We have an entire discovery suite. business analysis. What is this business's strategic capacity? What are the range of values available to it, both from a market comp and a discounted cash flow perspective? Um, what does this business need to be worth in order for our client to meet their wealth and legacy goals? And what's great is in this community, you all know that every conversation ends up with, how is this going to serve my family? How's this going to serve me? How's this going to serve my life? We have equity planner. We can surface insurance and advanced wealth planning opportunities, um, deliverables for clients, and then get into those of you who want to lift the hood and get the wrenches out. We have a deeper analysis. That deeper analysis generates a lot of data. We have an additional report that can be used as a client deliverable. We can simulate the impact of making certain changes in the business, the impact on revenue, the impact on transferable value, and interestingly, the impact of increasing strategic capacity and the impact of increasing revenues. And what does that look like, 3, 4, 5 years into the future? And then execute guidance, right? How are you going to do what you're going to do? When I say it's sophisticated, there is a lot here. And those of you who are using the software know that there's a lot here. And when my phone rings, it is often, hey, George, I've done X. Now what? Or can you help me read the tea leaves? So we have trained and we have invested a lot of time and treasure in creating this AI resource on which you can count for having those conversations. You can always double check. This is a community. Everyone on this call knows. We talk to each other a lot. We make that easy with a technology called Circle, and there's also one-on-one. I've helped most of you on this call. We chat. We chat regularly, right, Steve? Mark. We chat all the time. So your success is critically important to us, right? If we need, our vision is to help $1 trillion of private businesses increase strategic capacity in the 3 dimensions of business growth. And I believe with every fiber of my being that most CEOs will not get the help they need to do that. You guys are the key. It's great for your clients. It's good for you and your families. And we provide the technology and support to get there. So what does this look like? Imagine you're new. This is your first day. You've just subscribed to the Clarity software. Now what? Well, the first thing you're going to get is an email that says, first of all, get on my calendar, George Sandman's calendar, and we're going to have an orientation, right? I want to make sure that this is integrated into your advisory business. You'll also have access to 2 courses. One course, which many of you have seen, which is our onboarding launch course. It's 6 videos. They're short, 20-ish minutes. And this is really a very, very focused how-to. How do you log in? How do you navigate, etc. We have just augmented that with with a playlist of 14 additional videos. That's 4.5 hours of narrated use of each of those modules that we just looked at. Okay, and those videos are supported by an AI guide who has access to all of that, those transcripts, et cetera, and a lot more, to be able to answer hey man, I use the range of values, now what? Like, remind me what strategic capacity really means. What are the first 3 things I might want to do with my client? And we're going to tease those out in a sec, guys. We'll workshop it. So you come in, you take 6 videos. And by the way, these are for you to use. There's no requirement. The onboarding launch videos have quizzes. Those are simply meant to cement knowledge, right? They're just meant to help to help cement what you've learned in your brain. None of us are 18 anymore, right? So what you end up having is the Clarity software plus the Clare AI is very, very sophisticated technology that has an AI companion that runs alongside it. Okay. Any questions at this point? Good. Good. So, I took a screenshot of 7 of the videos. There are 14 videos, right? And we start with Clarity Level 1, and we run all the way through a narrated sequence of, okay, I've done clarity level 1. Where might I go next? Now what? Right? I've finished clarity level 2. Now what? We go through compare. We go through all of the everything that you would imagine. All right. So there's a tremendous amount of there that's always here for you. You can always go back and review the videos, and they have the transcripts, highlights, chapters. We do it right. Now, I said you're going to get an email when you become a new subscriber, and all of you who are current subscribers have received this, and I hope the rest of you will receive one of these emails very soon. And it also says, hey, we have these two. Here's where the two courses are. They're hosted in the community. They're very easy to access. Um, and we have the orientation AI and instructional videos. These are those 14. And here are the 6. By the way, we're data geeks. People who have completed these 6 have watched these 6 videos. Yes, we're watching. Tend to not call us often. You tend to be much more confident in use of the software. That makes sense. So I see Mark laughing. Um, and you're welcome to call. I'm not. It's not like you can't call me until you watch the 6 videos, but they really do. They're very, very effective. In your video, you're going to have 2 links. Eventually, there won't be a link because this is about to be released inside the Clarity software. Now, one of the links is to this customer success guide, and we're going to jump in right now. We've spent about 15 minutes teeing this up. We're going to jump in right now. We're going to take a few minutes and we're going to work together as a group, and we're going to ask questions. Now, there's a caveat, right? Who here is using AI routinely? Okay. You have figured out that AI is really, really right most of the time. And then every once in a while, um, I joke that AI hit the bottle. It's like, what are you talking about? What is this crazy answer? So AI is like an analyst. AI is an intern who's doing your preliminary research, your first drafts, and most of the time it's really, really good. It's Ivy League, right? And every once in a while, you need to proofread it because it'll always at the worst time you're going to get a what the heck is this answer? So. And we all experience that. It's not our AI. This is actually all of this is built on OpenAI. And these are private, by the way, SOC 2 compliant. We have our compliance commitments with large organizations. These are all SOC 2 compliant, to the point where OpenAI will indemnify you as a user of a business account to the privacy, as far as the privacy of your data. All right. Now, I'm going to pause this and I'm going to open our friend in a window, and we're just going to jump in and have a little fun. Okay, here we go. Can Mark, you're center of my screen. Can you see the Clarity customer guy? Can you see the AI? Yep. Okay, cool. I'm going to move our pictures out of the way, all of your handsome faces. All right. So very straightforward. We have you're inside my account, so you're a little behind the kimono. You see Claire and the customer success are right here. They are busy they are together, and they're on a server on Amazon Web Services and our Amazon Web Services account, and they're working really, really well. So we don't release things until they're as close to bulletproof as possible, and that's the only reason you haven't seen. We were having some behavioral issues, and it was 99% good and then junk. So we've got that fixed. Okay. So I teed up a question. Hey, I've completed Clarity level 1. Now what? Is that okay? Is that a good question to start with, guys? Is that cool? Steve, work for you? All right. Steven, we haven't talked for a bit. I miss you, man. Hope everything's going well. So we've just asked her, and she's running in 5.2. I could run her in 4.0. You have your choice of models. And you have also figured out, those of you using AI, that it's a bit of a sycophant. It's a big fan of you. Great question. Wow, you're so smart. So great question. This is exactly the right moment to turn insight into momentum. Now, let's parse the answer. Review the results. What to focus on? Strategic capacity. Strategic capacity drives growth and value, right? You guys know, those of you working with clients, increasing strategic capacity has two effects. Three, it makes the business easier to run. Revenues pop. We have the data. Revenues pop, and transferable business value increases. You have to move the EBITDA and the gross revenue needle to move total revenue, total value, but the transferable portion of value is directly related to the strategic capacity of a business, which, for the uninitiated, is a business's ability to predictably and sustainably grow free cash flow. So we're all professionals here. I would never say that to a CEO. I wouldn't use terms like free cash flow because they'll be like, what is that? They'll only hear cash flow. But the private capital markets want us to predictably and sustainably grow free cash flow. And that's what we're, hey, Barry, that's what we're focused on. So what are we going to focus on? Strategic capacity, growth killers, deal killers, what's hampering your growth? What are the bottlenecks that you've just surfaced? The gap between total transfer. So she's doing a pretty good job, right? And here's the thing, watch. Here's the YouTube video. You can go on and it's going to take you, you see how she's calling out the chapters, exactly where to go look. Now, there may be a lot more in that video that's relevant. And I think you're probably all doing it. You can run it at 1.5 speed or 2 speed. 2 speed, I don't really catch much, but you can run it at 1.5 speed until you get to the part that it sounds like it's most relevant to you. So very, very time efficient. Here's your research assistant. What to do next, right? Show that. And now we're going to go to the range of value report. Smart, right? Now the range of value report is populated, obviously, as soon as you finish Clarity Level 1, about 20 minutes of work. Explanation of latent versus transferable value. So she's doing a good job. Okay. So, and we trained her to be a little loquacious. She's chatty. Great, right? We'd rather tell you a little too much and give you a very thorough answer than have you thinking that you have to throw another question in here. So here we go. And she's summarizing it here with a rule of thumb. So guys, does this track, Mark, Steve, Barry, guys who are using the software, does this track? I see you nodding. Okay, great. What's the next? So in fact, at this point, you guys are users. What's the next question? Feel free to unmute. How do I put my silly hand down here? Lower hand. There we go. What's the next question about which you're curious? And we're going to try to stump her, and I'll show you what she does. You know what? Here, I'm going to ask a question because I'm a huge fan of collaboration. What of my clients' other advisors would care about this analysis? Sorry, guys, I have to look down to type. I'm a child of the 80s. So, okay, so we're going to collaborate. Imagine you're asking Claire, like, okay, now here she knows that she thinks I'm a business advisor. So if you're a wealth advisor, you will have told her that and she will know. And so she's thinking. 5.2 takes her a couple of seconds. So what other advisors might I want to share this information with? Now, think about all of the implications. So it's like, here's what you might want to discuss with a wealth advisor. Now imagine the client has said, I don't have a wealth advisor. You know one, right? Then you can say to the client, well, maybe you should have lunch with my friend Jane, and we'll talk about, the relevance of this to your wealth. So Mark, thank you. Can I read that out loud? Or maybe it's up on the screen now. Okay, great. I use Clare to land an $8,000 a month retainer, using about 20% of your capacity, right? So we multiply that by 5. That's not a bad annual run rate, right? Not to be chatty, but I did the level 1 with the management team. 6 people love it. You use the compare function. It led to a great discussion. I'm sure it did, man. I'm sure it did. Those are fascinating. And by the way, you want to have a lead pipe on getting the long-term engagement? Run Clarity level 1 with the whole team. And we'll talk about, maybe that'll be my next question. So we're going to talk to a wealth advisor, CPA. We have some CPAs here on. We have a fractional CFO and Scott Freeman on the line. She's now, this is high level. She's not giving advice, right? She's just like, hey, here's who might be relevant at this point in the conversation. Terrific. You can also ask this. I gotta get out of my way. We can also ask at this point. By the way, this is one of the questions we ask to test if she's present or not. So you can feel free. If she doesn't come back with a straight up answer, be like, okay, let's refresh and start again. So don't replace. It gives them better inputs. We're going to be able to talk to, about realistic wealth planning, preparing numbers, getting better financial data out of the system, and she's giving a great answer. Okay, so I put that prompt in to show you that she has the entire lexicon. So if you're fuzzy about a definition or how to explain something, here is your answer. And I'm going to be fascinated to hear from you about if you use Claire when you're sitting with a client. We don't want to give them the impression that we're just asking AI and we're a fancy typist, because that's not the case. You guys have the wisdom that AI does not have, right? You have the wisdom to be able to parse these answers and decide, is this relevant or not? Okay. So what creates strategic capacity? I said she's loquacious. I'm being polite. She's very chatty. That's fantastic. Why? Okay, valuation multiples, deal structure, time to exit. This is all great stuff. Now to circle back, and if you have questions, unmute and jump in. To circle back, maybe I'll ask, when should. Now you can upload. You see this plus? You guys are probably already doing this. You can upload. You won't need to once it's embedded, but right now you could grab a Clarity Level 1 report, a screen grab, whatever you want, and upload it and ask her to go through it, to explain it to you, and she does a great job. Now, this tool is connected to Clare. Again, in Clare 2, they'll be one and the same. They're together. Here she's connected. So at some point, this one will say, I think you really want to talk to my colleague Clare, right? Go next door. Again.
And George, maybe you can just tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about what is the difference between this and Clare?
That's a great question, Scott. It will be part of Clare. Okay. I developed it as a standalone so that I'm able to test this functionality separately, and then we fold it in. Okay. The Clare 2, as we've talked about it in the community, all of these capabilities are going to be in one clickable button in the bottom right corner of the screen. That answer your question?
And so the clarity here is, or sorry, this particular product is onboarding and training of how to use the tool.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Deep knowledge on how to use it.
Yep.
Questions that can be asked over and over again. Strings, hours that could be spent on coming up to speed and really becoming good at the tool.
Yes, that's a great point. And what I was at pains to point out a few minutes ago is, watch the 6 videos. I mean, you guys have watched them. They're straightforward. I'm a relatively entertaining guy, but it helps you understand, get your basic orientation. The difference between software and AI, one of the key differences is that software has a topography. Every time we log into Clarity, you know what you're going to see. You know what words are going to be there, where the modules are, how they're interrelated. It has a definite topography. AI does not have a topography. What's powerful is our AI has a methodology and a process that is linked to that topography that allows you to ask free-form questions as you would of a colleague and get very, very good answers about what you're seeing, what you might want to do next, how to interpret, how do I explain, my client is growing, but they have strategic capacity of 42. What does that mean? Those are the types of questions that the AI can help you answer, and that you can then vet for yourself, with the community, by calling here to the home office. So, did that answer your question, Scott?
Yeah, and so when you're using one with a client or you're preparing, you've gone through the process of doing whatever level you're doing or
Yep.
tool that you're working on, module that you're working on in there. What's the best practice? Is it in the is it in here in the customer success guide, or is it more in Claire that has kind of the analysis with the particular report
The
or
ana-
the data that
so
you've ran?
what That's a great question. Unless you're looking for how-tos and specific customer success, I would definitely default to Claire. This module will be folded into Claire. Okay. This is built as a standalone. First of all, so that I don't confuse the heck out of people. Second of all, so that we test it. Okay. So we have tested it to a point where we are comfortable releasing it, and it is part of the initial email that everyone is getting now as they log in. You guys have seen it in the community, etc., and it's really, really sharp. Um, so so Scott, it's only a standalone for now. I don't want to. I hope that doesn't cause confusion, guys. They're part of the same. They're part of the same suite, and pretty soon we'll be the same person. And that person's name is Claire. Okay.
Makes
Uh,
total sense as an onboarding path.
awesome. Thanks, man. And super helpful. I anticipate that you guys. I don't. Because this is currently hosted on OpenAI. I don't get data on how much use. I get anecdotal feedback, and it's by and large been very positive. Um, I'm such an attorney. It has been very positive. So, now I'm gonna try to stump her a little bit. Can you create? I'm trying to get her to trigger Claire, but as she learns, she's probably just pulling things through the wall, right? So can you for my first client discussion? I am a business advisor, and the client's wealth, you know, advisor will be there too. I don't know. I do it all in plain English. So let's see what she comes up with. And to iterate, right? OpenAI learns you. So as you iterate these questions and you go, this is a little AI 101, always iterate in the system because it learns you, and it'll start framing the answers in a way that goes to the way you ask questions and your personality. Okay. So here's the agenda. And, I don't know if this is going to be good or bad, but it isn't going to be terrible. Shared understanding the business, personal goals, and how strategic. Boom. Yes. Heck yes. So welcome and framing. You can take this and then just start making it your own, right? This is just a first pass. So our friendly little analyst has come back and said, hey, here's a first draft, and away you go. And so when I work with AI, and I don't know how you guys work with it right now, if I was going to refine this, I'd be saying, okay, this is great. Can you fix number two so that next time she gives me what I'm looking for, I don't have to keep correcting it in a separate doc. Cool. So, I'm not going to read this line by line and run a training on whether or not I think this is a good agenda. I will tell you just at a glance, I'm seeing this for the first time, like you are. No topography, right? That it looks pretty good. Now, what's cool about running it here is that now we have some, I have 7 minutes of video I could go and read and go and watch about, here's how George would review Clarity Level 1. And George's only matters to the extent that he wrote it. It's to the extent that there's any wisdom in it. But you guys have your own ways. The cool thing also, each of you, right? Those of you who are using the software, Scott, you've kind of made this your own, right? You have your own way. You've made friends with it. You have your own way of discussing it with your clients, discussing it with your COIs. And I'm not going to put words in your mouth to the extent that this supports you and will learn how you use it, right? It's all for the good. That, by the way, that learning aspect and that personalization remains true as soon as we release Claire 2 inside, which I keep saying it's next week, guys, and I apologize. Um, but it probably is next week. We release it to the public, all right, or to subscribers, all right. So she's done a specialized meeting. What we want to do, we're business advisors. Those of you who are not wealth advisors, if we can make a COI look good in front of our mutual client, that is a win. That is a monstrous win. That wealth advisor has a Rolodex, right? And we need, there's for a long time, business advisors have not, I'm going to pick on wealth advisors or pick wealth advisors as a target. We all refer things to investment bankers, to fractional CFOs. It's natural. We have tended as a profession to not refer to wealth advisors, even though there's a wealth advisor for essentially every business owner in this country. If we refer business to them, ask yourself, what good might come of that? Where's Garrison when we need him? So, he'd be all over this. He's fishing. That's why he's not on this call. Okay. Fishing and preparing for the storm of
That's
the
horrible.
biggest storm of the winter. Yeah. Poor guy.
So,
So,
Georgia, a quick kind of follow on question. So, if you're trying to frame this, oftentimes one of the challenges in meeting with different clients is kind of understanding like where they're coming from, their background. I might be meeting with a flooring contractor and then an engineer, right? And they're going to be, or a marketing person, right? And they're completely different personalities. Is there a use case for how to use this in terms of taking the language that most connects with that type of personality? Because I've done that with other AI tools to a certain extent.
how much you update this answer considering that I am meeting that the client, just keep it, stop. Rick Johnson has come back. Okay. That uh, the client owns an HVAC business and that hates specific type of training at that point. I just muted Rick. And hates BizBlab. God, what the heck is going on here? I don't. So this is a test. Does she recognize what what BizBlab is? I'll bet she'll come up with some version. A lot of clients hate BizBlab, right? You sit down and you talk to them about free cash flow and EBITDA and concepts that they don't have to deal with on a daily basis.
Until you can visually see that you're losing them.
Yeah, love to hear you say that, fractional CFO. Okay,
I've
so
had to
what?
train the MBA out of me.
So so here she's updated the agenda. So you can see now she's kind of leaning into Claire's territory here. We might want to put the same, eventually it's not going to matter very quickly. It's not going to matter. I would ask the same. These are questions I'd actually be typically asking Claire. Now, OpenAI just gave us the ability to sort of see through the veil. So this tool is looking in at Claire's knowledge base, which is huge and growing every week. So okay, no biz blab, wealth advisor. So we're also one of our foundational philosophies. I guess I've said it a couple times here, but is we speak plain English. We speak CEO, right? We don't speak CFO. Love you, Scott. Love you, Rick. But we speak CEO, and we want to meet them where they are with the language, everything to make them feel comfortable and engaged. So here she is. She's starting to create a pretty good now. Wow, she is chatty. Let's just jump to the bottom. Okay. So would it be helpful? There are, like I said, 4.5 hours of videos here, augmented by um, well over, north of 500,000 other words of training. Would it be helpful if I jumped into Claire for a sec, guys? How can I best illustrate, what this You know, w I'll tell you what I can. Let's jump into Claire, and for those of you who have not yet, met our friend Claire, here she is. By the way, they create their own avatars. So this is what Claire decided she wanted to look like. Great. Um, maybe I'll upload. I'm gonna pause share here for a sec and show you what happens if we a um, upload a doc. How are we for time? Okay, we still have 5 minutes. So I'm just gonna pull up I have sensitive stuff in here, which is why I'm not just throwing it on the screen in front of you. So what do we got? Downloads. Oh, there's a lot of good stuff here. I need, bear with me one sec. Uh, let's go with level two. We'll just pull a level two report and one that is not level two report. There we go. I'm just going to drag and drop this puppy into Claire. All right. So I'm going to resume sharing. Okay, guys, I just had to be very careful. I walk through this stuff. I have a lot of PDFs of your I can't be dropping one of your client cases in here. So this is Ridge Specialty Tooling. It's our teaching case. It's a case we use that the C3D certification in the three dimensions of growth is organized around. Okay, so I've thrown level two in, and what could I ask you to do? What I love doing. I do this all the time. Executive summary. Now, this is one, guys. Check her numbers. 95+% of the time, she'll get them right. And every once in a while, she'll say, oh, the strategic capacity is 36. I'm like, pretty sure that's not true. What's cool about AI is you go and correct her, you say, actually, no, it's 53. And she'll go back and revise. So write an executive summary of this report that I can use as a one pager. George needs typing lessons. Okay. Pretty simple, right? What's she going to come up with? So, and then again, you can iterate, but you can see, um, this is a sophisticated business overview. She's got it right. The current score of 56. I know this case cold, right? It is a 56. The average business comes in at a 54, guys, right? The middle of the bell curve. It's not surprising. So 54 is our mean. And it slopes off precipitously. As we all know, most businesses cannot approach an M&A transaction as they are currently run. They can't successfully complete. They can approach it all they want. So here we go. She's starting to give, but below the 70 point threshold. We just added some really. I spent a lot of time looking at interpreting scores for you guys. So, so this is the type of thing you'll see that in moments she has created something that you can at least use as the basis for either further inquiry or to draft a doc for your client. Because this is a 56-page report. We want to make sure that we have on that cover page, the executive summary, what we actually want our client to look at. Here's what you care about. There's a whole lot of other supporting information here. And I'm a huge believer in using the level one and the level two report as addenda, right? As an appendix. Here's where we are, tight, and then give them all the data they need to go and dig as deep as they want, right? Respect. This is about their business. Does that make sense?
George, what's the best practice for doing this? And you sat through, when I do these, I sit through hours of interviews and have collected a lot of information and get a sense of what pain points are, what their psychology is, what those are the kinds of things. What's the best practice on trying to really kind of hit where there's either quick wins for them or they see particular value? I mean, we probably all have had the experience where we start with the client and like they come to us for a particular reason, right? Whether in my case it's cash flow or hey, I don't understand the numbers my controller is giving me or whatever else. How do you what's the best practice of kind of like uploading that information about the client that's not necessarily going to be in the clarity report stuff, but
I okay.
is
Scott, man. No, Scott, did I ask you to ask that question?
no.
Okay, 1 sec. I'm gonna step away for just I'm just going 6 feet, and I'll be right back. Who has one of these? This is a Plaud. It is a recording device, PLAUD. It goes in a handy dandy little, like a credit card holder, and it is magnetic to the back of your phone, and it takes notes. Why am I pointing this out? Plaud is also an app on your phone and a desktop. It has a desktop companion. Plaud, right now, I could be using Plaud to record this meeting. It attaches to, there's a point to my story, Scott. I'm getting to the answer. It also attaches to Zoom, Google Meetings, and Teams automatically and generates highlights, chapters, transcripts, a mind map, and action steps. Plus, AI will say, and here's what I don't think you discussed that you should have discussed. And it's really, really good. Why am I pointing that out? Well, Scott, we are going to be releasing, again, relatively soon, through an API. We are APIing to Plaud so that you can have a scribe in your one-on-one meetings, whether you're using Clarity or not. You use Plaud, just say to your client, listen, rather than sitting here writing notes, do you mind if I just use AI to take some notes? And clients don't mind. I've done this. I'm addicted. And now we're going to API, and you're going to see a new area of the dashboard where you have all of the notes from these meetings inside your Clarity dashboard. Why do you care? Well, Scott, you just asked the $1 million question. As you're doing this work, now Claire is looking at those notes and is building an answer based on, and you can ask her, that's not something I asked for, where are you getting it? And of course Claire will say, as OpenAI says, right, ChatGPT, oh, I got this from blank. I got this from the notes from your April 12th meeting. Remember, Diane said that she absolutely would not do X, Y, or Z, or that it was critically important that, and that needs to be reflected in this discussion. So, Scott, love the question, and we are on it. The scribe function is coming. Is that helpful? Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So you can be able to take that and highlight what are their particular interests or concerns and tailor the executive summary or your outputs to address those. Now, all of us know as advisors, right, that sometimes there's underlying types of things. And once you build that trust and fix a particular issue, right, you kind of start to work on the rest of the issues within the business. But I've found that putting that kind of information in can be very helpful.
100%, 100%. Because again, because the software has a topography, and we only have a limited number of places where we can actually type in what the client is saying. We want to be able to capture all of it, right? All of it, and then of course, well, and I'll just shut my mouth at that point. And then there's always something more. So, that is part of our near term tech release. Um, One of our near term tech releases, Scott, because we're able
Quick
to do.
question in using
Yep,
Claire, how do you keep your clients separated? Not in terms of like, information, because again, they're not accessing that, right? That's
that's
the
correct.
advisor that's using it. But how do you keep how would you structure this in order that you get 10 of these in here that Claire doesn't get confused as to who we're talking about?
Yeah, and so what I say to her, Scott, that's a great question. So I would say thinking specifically about God. So I have some client cases in here. I'm just going to stay. I'm just going to say about Ridge. What is the best next step? So when I tell her to thinking specifically about Ridge, now we still have to double check, but she will go and say, okay, well, wait a second. I have the Ridge specialty tooling. I have whatever you've at this point uploaded next week. She'll be pulling these reports right out of the system. You won't have to upload a thing. Um, but you can tell her to think specifically about a given client. And in my experience, there's the attorney. In my experience, she will be really, really sharp at focusing the answer on that specific use case.
Got it. Just
Mhm.
as if you were talking to your analyst. Hey, talk to me about
Yeah,
XYZ.
yeah.
George, I think what Scott is also asking is there a filing system where we could refer back to a conversation that we had with AI, for a specific client? That's one of in dealing with the chat GPT and some other ones, I'm having a difficult time referring back to a particular conversation that I have.
And I have they're here and they're searchable, Barry.
Well, they're
So
searchable, but are they in one spot that we can go to? Is it organized? So
it
that's
is,
just a mess. This is my opinion.
yeah. In Claire 2, inside Clarity, organized by client. Claire 1, we're stuck with the open AI. There's just a list. It's a very searchable list. Um, but yeah, it's just been
But you can keep things in a thread there, which is
you
sometimes
can
again a little bit difficult if you're iterating a lot. I've also used, in OpenAI project
projects.
folders.
Yeah.
And can this be can this thread become part of a project so that you could keep them separate as clients, just to be able to find like, hey, um I'm talking about XYZ construction, and I want to kind of have multiple threads that are hitting the same thing. Is that how that architecture would work?
Yes. So I agree with you on the confusion around threads. I love threads, but I don't go back and refer to them because I just get lost. I do go back and look. I love projects, and I go back and I just search. I'm like, wow, I was talking about blank, creating a financial model. By the way, if you haven't used AI to project, hey, here are results. You can project it. She does a really good job of projecting things going into the future, at least as a first pass. So I
I
hope
don't
that
know if
helps
I
you.
did this right or wrong, but for my clients, I have separate threads when I go into Claire. So I don't know why, but
You did something.
I did
Okay.
something I can
Cool.
find. So hey,
Cool.
I've got to jump, but I
Yeah.
really
So do I.
appreciate this. And um, I'd like to talk you through what I did sometime,
Please, Mark.
show you all the parts because I just talk to AI and it comes up with stuff, but it's trust but verify, right?
Yeah. Trust but verify. But what it comes up most of the time is really, really good.
Oh, it's
So
more than I could have done on my own.
yeah. So I hope this was helpful for all of you guys. We've run about 8 minutes over, 6 minutes over. I can't do math, and seven, whatever. Over. Thank you very much, everyone. You know how to reach me, George at growth-drive.com. I'm here. And you know how committed I am to all of your success. So let me know how I can help. All right. Okay, guys.
Appreciate it, George.
This recording will be available in the community. All right, man.
Thanks a lot, George.
Talk soon. Thank you, everyone. Be well. Have a great day.